This is gonna take crackerjack timing, Wang.
Total concentration. You ready, Jack?
I was born ready.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and today we're going to review episode 4 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Definitely one of the most shocking moments in MCU history. Now, many of you are probably expecting my good friend Skip and Tosh, who's reviewed the first 3 episodes with me. Unfortunately, he's out of town, wasn't able to do the review, but I got a replacement. I've got a ringer, award-winning editor, comic book writer, Joe Corolla. How you doing?
I'm all right, Wes. I'm just replacing everyone this week.
Yeah, fairly. Yeah, I do appreciate you stepping up here on at the last second to talk about this episode.
Sure.
Now, a lot of interesting things going on here. We're finally seeing the culmination of a few things, but it's really shocking that we're 4 episodes into a 6-episode season, 2/3 of the way through, and what are they trying to accomplish here?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I know that, the flag smasher people are bad. They're establishing that, but there's no flag smasher plan. Like at this point in like a long movie or in a miniseries like this, we're halfway through a 6-episode. Well, yeah, we're more than halfway through. So there's only 2 episodes left, and the flag smashers have yet to reveal the big plan. What you normally think of in situations like this are, okay, well, the flag smashers are doing bad things, we know that, but now we're going to find out that they're waiting for the next G8 summit, and they're going to kidnap and hold the whole world hostage with the 8 most powerful leaders in the world, or something like that, and nothing. It's we don't. The flag smashers are still this sort of they're this anarchy group, and that's fine, but you're also introducing this power broker character, but the power broker doesn't have a clear vision of what they're trying to do. So
there's somebody. Now the rumor is that it's Sharon Carter.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's if it is, it's weird that literally no one is asking. We're not getting any more, Bucky and Falcon, Bucky and Sam here talking about Sharon's been really weird. She might be the power broker. They need to be smarter. This is one of those shows, like some of the Marvel movies, where they work because everyone needs to be exceptionally stupid to allow the plot to happen. Because if they ask too many questions, they'll figure out the plot too soon.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Let's talk about the big moment. I think this will be kind of controversial. Now, the whole kind of theme of this episode really is this super serum.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it really represent? And there's a moment in the kind of beginning where Baron Zemo kind of explains the serum it will corrupt you. Whatever the worst that you can become is what the serum will eventually make you. And that's why you can't trust Karli, you can't trust the flag smashers, no matter what their motivations are, because they've taken the serum, it'll eventually corrupt them, and you'll see who they truly are. Obviously, we've seen them escalating, and they blew some people up the week before. So we've got this idea of this serum out there, and it's heavily hinted at the beginning that John Walker is likely jealous of Bucky Barnes. He mentions, you're real brave, because you have that serum running through your veins. Mm-hmm. And the temptation's out there, and then he finally gets a hold of it. Now, we knew this was going to happen, although I personally thought that John Walker had already taken the serum from what we had seen.
Yeah, I thought that was part of why he could hold and throw the shield like he could.
Yeah, and the very first time that they come into contact with each other, he essentially bails Falcon and Winter Soldier out because he's super duper competent. Not only competent, but it feels like he's the souped up soldier. But apparently that wasn't the case. He finally takes it after Battlestar Lamar has been murdered by Karli. I think they wanted it to seem like it was kind of accidental, like she didn't mean to do it, but she pretty much cold-blooded killed it.
Yeah, but the other thing, this whole scene too, again, which is why it's kind of falling apart here, is they're all souped up and punching each other, and they're all wielding knives and things like what they think was going to happen. Like that, you know, it was very like, okay, I'm not shocked someone was accidentally murdered when you're super powered knife wielding lunatics. You know, I don't. What was going to happen? They were going to just punch each other until they were all like, we're tired now, let's talk. Like, it's weird that any of this was shocking to anyone involved.
Well, it drives John Walker kind of over the line once he sees it happen. He jumps out a window. He's looking to confront Karli. He doesn't see her, but he sees her close companion, who seems to be like the second in command of the Flag Smashers. He kind of gets him down in a submissive position, and it's got to be the most violent moment in MCU history, right? He essentially uses Cap's shield to... Did he decapitate him? That's what it appeared to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very reminiscent of the two-part Baron Blood story from the Roger Stern, John Byrne run, where Cap has to decapitate Baron Blood with his shield because he's a vampire and that's the only way he could kill him. So that's what I was thinking of during this. But yeah, you know, again, it's like, it's shocking. I've seen it before in the comics, but it's a vampire, not a person, so it makes it a different tone. But when you're describing it like this, it kind of like, the logic in this episode completely falls apart, because the whole point that they're driving here with John Walker going off the deep end is that's what the Super Soldier Serum messes with you in those ways. Meanwhile, everyone's pretty okay with Falcon kind of being like, I can reason with the Flag Smashers and do this, even though the Super Soldier Serum, you know, it's like, why is everyone okay with this? And I get it. In the episode, they do try, they like almost address it, and then, you know, like Baron Zemo makes the whole point of you know, everyone that takes it goes crazy, and you know, Bucky's like, well, what about Cap? And it's like, okay, it's one guy, everyone else goes crazy.
Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the exception.
So we have that conversation, and that makes sense. But then you can't have Sam be so gung-ho and be like, oh, I can absolutely talk Karli down and stop all the craziness with the Flag Smashers. Because then it's also like, okay, let's say Karli is the one other Steve Rogers ever in existence. You're also betting on everyone else she's with who's also a super soldier to also be a Steve Rogers. And we know as the audience that Karli is the one who directly murdered those people in the building last episode. And other super soldier, the other super soldier that was with her in the car, was just like, whoa, what are you doing? And she was like, you gotta do what you gotta do. And so it's like, we as the audience know she is a vile, irredeemable person. That's supposed to be an action that a vile, irredeemable person does.
Yeah, they really go out of their way to make the character Karli sympathetic by, in Sam's eyes, they're using his voice to almost equate her and her struggles to her sister. And at one point, Sam knows that she's murdered these people. He knows that she set off this explosion and killed innocent people. And he's like, I'm on your side. It's like, what? Like, even if you're sympathetic to her motivations, how can you be on her side? How, like, you're out there trying to save people. She's out there murdering people. You're diametrically opposed to each other. So when he says to her, I'm on your side, you know, I believe in what you're fighting for. And you know, my jaw's almost hitting the floor. Like, what?
Yeah. You're murdering. I'm on your side. Let's murder civilians. It's like,
yeah,
that it's very weird. And sure, he might not have known that she was the one who ordered that and executed that. But it's like, if you want us as the audience to be sympathetic for this character, she should have been the one in like the passenger seat there being like, you know, like, you told me there was no one in the building. And, you know, and it should have been the other guy who was like, well, I knew you wouldn't have let us do it if I told you. And like, you should have like started seeing cracks within the organization there, and that she's the one worth saving. That would have made sense. And that would have made this episode easier to watch. But instead we have Sam, who's like, I don't care how many civilians people kill. I think it's okay to try to reason with you and have you face no consequences for any of your actions. And while we're doing that, we're also going to break Baron Zemo out of prison and work with him, despite the fact that Wakanda wants him for murdering a world leader. Yeah, you know, it's it's what is going on? Why is Marvel set us up at this point where it's like, okay, we got a cool pairing of serial killer who's facing no real consequences and military guy Sam, who is all down with murdering civilians with no consequences. It's like, what are you doing?
I'm with you. Yeah, the Baron Zemo stuff. He's almost the most sympathetic character in that he's the one that's stuck to his core principles the most. I can understand what he's doing the most. He's trying to destroy the serum, and he does for the most part. Obviously, there's one vial left, which John Walker ends up taking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's murdering some people, which is very, very bad, but it fits within his character and what he's doing. So I understand that character, but they're kind of playing with him here to where they're just trying. Are they making him goofy? What are they doing to him? It's just he feels off. He doesn't feel menacing anymore.
Yeah, it's very goofy, which makes no sense because why bother having him be goofy in a show where you brutally murder Lamar by basically bludgeoning him to death, followed immediately by John Walker decapitating a man with the shield. It's like, that's not the kind of show where you need like Baron Zemo to be like, Turkish delight, it's the best. It's like, what are you doing? And then again, it makes all these characters very unsympathetic. What they should have done is they should have tried to interrogate Baron Zemo in the prison, and then he gets out on his own.
I agree. 100%.
And he hunts them down. And they're like, whoa, what are you doing? And he's basically like, look, I found you guys. You just came to me. If anyone finds out I'm with you and you try to turn it around, they're going to think you broke me out. I know where you got to go. So either you're working with me because you need me, or I'm going to go and you guys are going to get busted for breaking me out. Like put the, like, do anything close to that is so much better than what they did. But
yeah, he needs to have leverage over Falcon Winter Soldier for the story to make sense for them to even talk to him.
Yeah.
But in the one moment where, the Winter Soldier's one that said it, he's like, you don't have leverage. Let me show you what real leverage is. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why he's there. Now, there is something in this that I did quite enjoy, and it was the callback to the White Wolf, Winter Soldier's time in Wakanda. There's just an enormous part, blank slate of character history that they can work with and really explain, how he came to be in the state that he is now. Obviously, he's much different than at the end of Captain America Civil War. So we got a little bit of backstory there and some of the debt that he owes to Wakanda and like the royal guard that they end up having a confrontation with. So I thought that was pretty well done. I like the callback to the White Wolf. There's also quite a great battle scene, which also, I guess it plays into the motivations of John Walker wanting to be a super soldier when he gets his ass handed to him by the Wakandan royal guard. And as he said, they're not even super soldiers.
Yeah. I don't get, the power sets are kind of all over the place here. It's, and it's like, do you even need to take the Super Soldier Serum? And like, how badly do they need the Super Soldier Serum when it seems like there's all sorts of ways to get devices and different things to do incredible stuff anyway. So
yeah, so there's a few other things. Did you notice the stuff that I think his name's Wyatt Russell was doing? Well, he started being like real twitchy.
mm-hmm.
He started having like a little tick and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting thing that they did with his character, just to kind of give him a little bit more, I guess, like a physical example that something has changed with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was like a cool little thing that they did.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. Is there anything else that you liked about the episode or the direction?
No, I think it's honestly really falling apart at this point. It's gorgeous. It's well shot. The special effects are great. There's no wonkiness in the action. The choreography is great. It's easy to follow. All the action, all the moving around, it's very clear. I'm really not trying to be condescending. That is good stuff, and you don't often get that in shows like this. There's not a lot of like shaky cam or confusing visuals, and I really appreciate that. The story itself is all over the place, has no direction. I have no idea what they're attempting to do. It works for something like WandaVision, where the premise of the show is you should be confused. Because because Vision also doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, so it's I'm with you. It's really confusing. I don't know where they're going. We're going to the final act of the story. We're 2/3 of the way through the story, and I'm not sure what the end goal is, and we still don't know who the power broker is. So I think they have some work to do. Mm-hmm. It does look great. It definitely feels, just by the visuals and the sound, that you're in an MCU movie.
Yeah.
They're definitely messing with the characters. Some things don't feel quite like they probably should, but we do know that people have taken pictures of Captain America with a bloody shield after he decapitated a man in broad daylight in front of everyone.
Yeah.
I imagine this is going to have major league implications on the way the world sees Captain America as a symbol, as a heroic symbol in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, do you think Falcon's going to even want to hold the shield after that? It's pretty tainted item now.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not sure how much I dig this direction. The politics in this episode they get into are also wonky. It's weird talking about some of the current politics, because there are some elements of that pertain to, politics in the last few years. And it's weird when you're dealing with a world where everyone was snapped out of, like, half the world was snapped out of existence for 5 years and has come back. It's like those same issues don't really apply. So it's kind of weird how they've been handling it. It's honestly just a big mess. And they try to distract you with some really good action choreography. And it is really good action choreography. But they really need to streamline the story here, make it more clear, and not lean too heavily on cliches. There's a lot of moments similar to the last few episodes where you're just sitting back going like, oh, this is happening. Like as soon as, the, what are they called? The Dora Milaje show up. You're like, oh, Baron Zemo's going to slip away because they're all going to be fighting and they're not going to notice him. And that's exactly what happens. There's a lot of moments throughout the episode where you're like, oh, they're going to go into that cliche, and they're going to be too busy fighting each other to notice this thing happening. And the second that John Walker handcuffed Baron Zemo when they were getting ready to confront Flag Smashers, you're like, oh, I know that he's not going to be in those handcuffs long. Like just stuff like that. It's like you gotta get me a little more on my toes. There were a few instances later on, especially when Zemo confronts, Flag Smasher, that you're like, okay, that wasn't necessarily what I would have immediately thought was going to happen. You kind of think it because of what he's been doing up until then, but it wasn't as cliche. And also obviously the sort of shocking ending where Yeah, I mean, you know that if you like read the comics that something like that was going to happen. The most damning thing about this series has been the Mark Grunwald run is just so much better than this. It feels like early 2000s like comic book media adaptations. It feels like watching like the first Spider-Man movie or something like that, where you're like, man, this was a lot of fun. I love it. But the comics are way better than this. It feels like that. Because it's like when John Walker goes crazy and kills people, it's because he watched his parents get shot to death, and then he murders like a dozen people. Mm-hmm. And it's like a whole, like, it's a crazy sequence of pages. And then it ends with him like holding his parents, acting like they're alive, and like talking about how they must be like proud of him for being Captain America and stuff like that. That's way more powerful than what they do in this show. So my biggest recommendation is please read probably from about Captain America like 312 to 350, because it's so good, and it's better than this. You know, it's still worth watching because, again, I told you the effects are great, choreography is great, but yeah, it's plot wise it is a train wreck.
Me personally, I think I liked it a little bit more than you. I'm going to give it like a 3.5 out of 5. But I am with you. I do think by trying to use Sam to make the Flag Smashers and Karli specifically more sympathetic and relatable, as maybe they're not the pure villains in this story, I think really they've detracted from the moral capacity or the moral compass of Sam rather than elevating their purpose. And I do think that was ineffective.
Yeah, and they do set things up in a way where the next episode could potentially make this episode better. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah.
Do you have a rating out of 5 before we sign off?
Probably 2.5, maybe 3, but you know, in that realm. Again, it's not awful. It's not like I wasted my time. Or anything like that. It's just like, all right, I'm seeing too many of the cracks in the story. You need to cover some of that up with either more explosive action or some more plot reveals or something that's a little less predictable.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for filling in for Skip and reviewing Captain America, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4 this week, and I will see you later, brother.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.